Welcome Exiles to the update on the ShadowStitch Inquisitor. Now, to start off with, you may notice I am no longer using a wand, and frankly, I'm no longer using Elemental Hit. And that's because, frankly, I couldn't get it to do enough damage. I couldn't get it to a point where it felt good. I was able to do the 4-way Shaper Guardian fight, but it was kind of scuffed. And I realized I kind of hate playing with Elemental / projectile skills when it comes to boss fights because of the reason of missing. I noticed a lot when I was like trying to shoot an enemy. The enemy would be like right here or something, and I'd be shooting off to the sides, etc. Point is, the damage was bad. I kept missing. It was a little bit frustrating to play, and I tried to sleep last night, but then I theory crafted this. Somewhat successful and weird mess I have going on here, which is StormWall, and then cast on crit Bladefall for basically clear and putting down blades, along with just Self Cast BladeBlast. So the idea is pretty simple. We go around, we cast on crit with our Cyclone here, get a bunch of blades on the floor, and then we pop our BladeBlast to pop all the blades. And we do that on the boss fight, and then while we're clearing, we can just cast on crit and enjoy kind of smooth clearing. Because BladeBlast, Bladefall, whenever I've seen the playstyle, I'm thinking, I don't like pressing a bunch of extra buttons. A lot of the times, like having 2 casts on each pack or whatever. So if we can just Cyclone through the packs, kill packs that way, and then save the extra casting for just boss fights, that's something I can get behind. I was able to do the Feared twice on this. I did it basically on like 3 deaths and 5 deaths, I think, in my 2 attempts so far. I'm planning to min-max this damage more and get the defenses higher. Make some decent amount of upgrades here. Right now, our gear is... Well, for our boots and our belts, frankly, these are items I bought for a couple chaos and just corrupted. So these can vastly be improved. Our gloves are pretty decent. Our rings are basically where all of our budget is. This ring itself cost me, because I self-crafted it, I think I spent maybe 40x on this just because of how many times I bricked it. I kept creating the same ring and I kept breaking it. I kept getting really decent life, good chaos res, crit multi, assassin's mark on hit, minus the channeling costs, fertile catalyst, qualityed up, and I'd brick it. I bricked 3 in a row, I think, and it was very painful in terms of how much I spent on this ring. Frankly, just getting yourself an Elder ring with, or just an assassin's mark on hit ring, not necessarily messing around with the mark of the Shaper, stuff like that could probably save a decent amount of budget and you'd still end up with a decent product, but that's where a lot of my cost is. And then on top of that, I'm using some Awaken Spell Cascade and Awaken Cast on Crit. I'm not sure these are really necessary. I don't really know. I'm not an expert on Bladefall, BladeBlast combo, but when I was looking at all the top guys on PoE Ninja, it seemed like they were using level 1 Spell Cascade to have as small of area as possible, so that way they'd get more overlaps on their BladeBlast. And frankly, me using Awaken Spell Cascade might be the wrong thing to do. I probably shouldn't have qualityed it because it gave me area of effect, so I'm probably messing some stuff up here. I'm going to fine-tune it. I'm going to play around with it, try to figure out what's actually the best way to do this. But for right now, with the setup I have, it's good enough to do the endgame bosses, and I'm enjoying it. I'm also enjoying the tankiness of it. There's been a lot of scenarios where I've been thinking, yeah, I'd be definitely dead right now if I was playing a lot of different builds, because we get a lot of block, we have 10k EHP, we have a good sustain, we can prop an Enduring Cry whenever we want to heal to full, we got roomies, stuff like that. It starts to feel pretty good. So that's the idea behind what I'm doing here in the build, now instead of Elemental Hit. And I'm now going to do a Cortex just to show you what it looks like while mapping, because previously I didn't showcase what it was looking like when I had the Elemental Hit version up and running. And somebody said in the comments, hey, you should do gameplay of it, show gameplay. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's a good point. I should show gameplay of what it looks like. So this is what it looks like when you're actually mapping. You basically just go around, flame dash, go to packs, and pop the, what's it called? Just your Cyclone and cast on crit and stuff. I probably could get a decent amount more movement speed if I had good movement speed boots and I had Tailwind, stuff like that. I'm thinking about adding into the build for just the quality of life that feels good to it. But for right now, I'm happy to just run some endgame bosses, run the Feared, chain those, and be able to make hopefully a decent amount of currency, getting a bunch of Crescent Splinters, and hopefully some decent boss drops like Elder's Watcher's Eyes, Bottled Faith, stuff like that would be nice. Let's get in and go ahead and do. I'm not sure what's dropping out there. I spec'd into the synthesis stuff recently, this stuff here, because if I'm going to run Cortex maps, I kind of like to get to good synthesized items, so I'm going to see if that actually ends up making profitable currency. I'm probably going to end up doing, oh, I forgot to do this, but I was supposed to precast some of these BladeBlasts beforehand. Because BladeBlast So you see right there, it's not too bad damage. I actually just upgraded to a level 21 Blade Blast for an extra radius, and I think that made a big difference for us in terms of single target. Previously, when I did this fight, it took a decent amount longer. Granted, I had a different setup than this. It wasn't. I've been messing around with it. I've been fine tuning it, and it's gonna keep getting better. Hopefully, if I keep playing around with it. I mean, I haven't done Bladefall, Blade Blast to super min-maxed extent before. I did do a cast on crit character at one point with some really good Eternity Shroud gear, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I'm hoping to min-max this to the point that it's even better than that one, especially with getting more damage and more tankiness would be the goal. That one it had a decent amount of DPS, but it was a complete glass cannon. I want to get this to the point where it's really pretty tanky. Ideally, we get closer to... Wait, I have Headhunter stacks? Okay, is that screwing with things? Is this a mod you can get on this map? I didn't even know that's a thing. That might be completely screwing with the test here, because I don't know what Headhunter stacks we have. I guess we only have a couple Headhunter stacks. Hopefully we're not completely bricking the showcase of the kill here. I don't know how that's happening, because we don't have a Headhunter. I guess it's a map mod that's making us gain modifiers. I'm not sure, but anyways, point is, it's pretty fun to do. It's pretty tanky. We can tank that attack there. We can tank most attacks a decent amount, and I think we're going to be able to get a decent amount more EHP. So I like this version a lot better than the elemental hit build I was doing. So I will be definitely making a build guide on this when I've min-maxed it. I'm going to try to do that throughout this week, and hopefully I'll have a good guide for it. And maybe some updates here and there, depending on how it goes. Of course, you get another Nebulous. It's got spell damage, cold damage, and pen for attacks, but still, that's kind of cool, I guess. I actually forgot to cover this, but the why as to why am I using StormWall? Because of Battle Mage, that's why. StormWall is a weapon that has very high fizz. It's cheap, and it converts all of our fizz to an element. So it takes care of conversion, and it gives our Blade Blast a little bit over 400 flat damage added to it. So, for example, our Blade Blast does 307 to 460. If you add 400 flat damage to that at 60% effectiveness, you get roughly another 240 average added on top, and that puts it around, instead of a 370 range, it's going to go all the way up to a 710. It's a good, like, 60% more damage, something like that, in terms of the amount of flat it gives. It's like giving it multiple levels type of thing, but instead, we also get a good amount of block. We convert all our fizz. It didn't cost much for a 6-link, and then on top of that, we have a good crit weapon, and we get a good amount of block. It gives 33 chance to block, and then on top of that, if we have our regular block, our block nodes we have on the tree, we go all the way to 43, and then with roomies at 17% or something, we go to 62, or roomies at 19%. So it's a good amount of attack block, feels decently for some extra tankiness on top of the Fortify, on top of the ability to proc Fortify really easily with Overlord, wherever that is right there. And so that's kind of my planning of why I did StormWall. I'm sure there's some like crazy crafting we could do to make a really good fizz staff type of deal. Maybe it'd be better than this. But for right now, it's a really cheap option. It's working great. So just wanted to share why I was using StormWall, because I forgot to go over this earlier. Anyways, that's the video, guys. I hope you like. Hopefully I went over this, explained it well enough. I'll include a POV just so you can scroll through the gear, look at the passive trees for the janky stuff I'm doing. I think I gotta mess with it, figure out what really works in this build, what doesn't work, and I'll try to fine-tune it and perfect it and get to a point where we can just like insta-phase bosses pretty well and also be a really tanky build that feels decent in mapping. So hopefully we're going to go for a real well-rounded build here. So hope you guys enjoy this little preview of what I'm messing around with the ShadowStitch Inquisitor, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.